Eleanor Vance lived a quiet, dignified life in the serene town of Willow Creek, a life defined by routine and gentle civility. Until one fateful afternoon, a simple visit to the First National Bank of Willow Creek transformed into a humiliating ordeal, exposing the deep-seated prejudices that festered beneath the town's polished facade. But Eleanor wasn't just any unassuming resident. She carried a secret, a connection to a power that would shake the very foundations of Willow Creek's perceived order. What happens when those who underestimated her realize they've made a grave, irreversible mistake, and the seemingly powerless matriarch unleashes a storm of federal authority? The afternoon began innocently enough. Eleanor, a woman whose life had been a testament to quiet grace and unwavering integrity, entered the bank with a simple transaction in mind. The familiar scent of polished wood and the low hum of hushed conversations usually provided a sense of calm, a comforting rhythm to her day. But today, the atmosphere was different, charged with an undercurrent of tension she couldn't quite place. As she approached the teller, a young man named Richard, she was met with a dismissive glance, a subtle but unmistakable air of impatience. Richard, a man whose youthful arrogance masked his deep-seated prejudices, processed her request with a condescending sigh, his eyes lingering on her worn but meticulously cared-for attire. He made a pointed comment about her account balance, a thinly veiled insult disguised as concern, his tone laced with a patronizing edge that made Eleanor's blood run cold. "Are you sure you have sufficient funds, Mrs. Vance?" he asked, his voice dripping with skepticism. "Perhaps you'd like to reconsider this withdrawal?" Eleanor, a woman who had always valued civility and respect, felt a surge of indignation. She had managed her finances with meticulous care her entire life. This condescending treatment was not only insulting but also deeply unjust. "I assure you, young man, my funds are quite adequate," she replied, her voice steady but laced with a quiet steel that hinted at a hidden strength. But Richard, emboldened by the perceived power imbalance, dismissed her concerns with a dismissive wave. He processed the transaction slowly, deliberately, his movements laced with a subtle cruelty that made Eleanor's hands tremble. The other patrons, initially indifferent, began to take notice, their whispers and sidelong glances adding to the suffocating atmosphere of humiliation. As Eleanor left the bank, the weight of the injustice pressed down on her, a heavy burden that threatened to crush her spirit. She had always believed in the inherent goodness of people, the underlying decency that bound society together. But this experience, this blatant display of prejudice, shattered her illusions, leaving her feeling vulnerable and exposed. Back in her quiet, unassuming home, Eleanor wrestled with her emotions. She had always been a woman of quiet strength, a pillar of her community, known for her gentle wisdom and unwavering resolve. But this incident, this blatant display of disrespect, had shaken her to her core. Then she remembered her daughter, a woman whose life had taken a vastly different path, a woman who held a position of immense power, a woman who would not tolerate such blatant injustice. With trembling hands, Eleanor picked up the phone and dialed the number, her voice barely a whisper. "Hello, darling. Mother?" The voice on the other end was strong, commanding, and instantly recognizable. "What's wrong?" I need your help, Amelia," Eleanor said, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and determination. They treated me like I was nothing." There was a moment of tense silence, a pregnant pause filled with unspoken understanding. Then, "Tell me everything, Mother." As Eleanor recounted the humiliating ordeal, her voice grew stronger, fueled by a righteous anger that had been dormant for too long. Amelia listened intently, her voice growing colder with each passing detail. "I won't let them get away with this, Mother," Amelia said, her voice laced with a chilling resolve. "I promise you, they will regret this day." Eleanor hung up, a sense of quiet determination settling over her. She knew her daughter, Amelia Vance, was not just a powerful woman. She was the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The next morning, Willow Creek awoke to a scene of unprecedented chaos. Federal agents, their presence commanding and undeniable, descended upon the First National Bank of Willow Creek, their movements swift and efficient. The bank, once a symbol of local prosperity, was now a scene of intense scrutiny, its doors sealed, its employees questioned. Richard, the young teller whose arrogance had fueled the previous day's humiliation, found himself facing a barrage of questions, his bravado crumbling under the weight of federal authority. The other bank employees, initially dismissive, now stood pale and trembling, their whispers replaced by a chilling silence. As the day progressed, the investigation expanded, revealing a pattern of discriminatory practices that extended beyond a single incident. The bank, once a pillar of the community, was now exposed as a breeding ground for prejudice, its reputation tarnished, its future uncertain. Eleanor Vance, the quiet, unassuming matriarch, watched from her window as the federal agents conducted their investigation. She felt a sense of quiet satisfaction, a vindication that transcended her personal humiliation. Justice, though delayed, had finally arrived. The news of the federal investigation spread through Willow Creek like wildfire, shaking the town's perceived sense of order. The residents, initially shocked and disbelieving, began to question their own complicity, their own silent acceptance of the injustices that had festered beneath the surface. Eleanor Vance, the director of the FBI, arrived in Willow Creek, her presence commanding and undeniable. She addressed the townspeople, her voice ringing with a quiet authority that silenced the whispers and quelled the doubts. "This investigation is not about retribution," she said, her voice echoing through the town square. "It's about justice. It's about ensuring that no one, regardless of their age, their background, or their perceived power, is subjected to such blatant acts of discrimination." The townspeople, initially hesitant, began to find their voices, their stories of similar injustices echoing through the square. They demanded accountability, they demanded change, they demanded a future where justice was not a privilege, but a right. Eleanor Vance, standing at the edge of the crowd, felt a sense of quiet pride. Her daughter, the director of the FBI, had not only avenged her humiliation, but had also ignited a revolution, a movement that would transform Willow Creek from a town of quiet complacency to a beacon of justice. The investigation continued, uncovering a network of corruption and prejudice that extended beyond the bank, reaching into the very heart of Willow Creek's power structure. The town, once a symbol of serene civility, was now a battleground for justice, a testament to the enduring power of truth. In the end, those who had underestimated Eleanor Vance, those who had dismissed her as a powerless matriarch, learned a valuable lesson. Power was not defined by age or appearance, but by the strength of one's character, the unwavering pursuit of justice, and the unwavering love of a daughter who would move heaven and earth to protect her mother's dignity. The fallout from the federal investigation was swift and decisive. Richard, the arrogant teller, found himself facing not only termination, but also criminal charges related to discriminatory banking practices and abuse of authority. The bank's regional manager, whose attempts to downplay the incidents were met with cold, hard evidence, was also implicated. His career effectively ended. The First National Bank of Willow Creek, once a symbol of local pride, now faced a class action lawsuit, its reputation irrevocably tarnished. But the investigation didn't stop at the bank's doors. Eleanor Vance, with her unwavering commitment to justice, expanded the scope of the inquiry, uncovering a web of systemic prejudice that permeated Willow Creek's social and political landscape. The town's mayor, a man whose polished facade concealed a history of discriminatory policies, was exposed, his political career crumbling under the weight of public outrage. The local law enforcement, whose inaction in the face of reported injustices was now revealed as complicity, faced federal scrutiny, their credibility shattered. The townspeople, emboldened by the federal intervention and inspired by Eleanor's quiet strength, began to organize, forming citizen oversight committees and demanding transparency from their local institutions. The Willow Creek Gazette, once a mouthpiece for the town's elite, transformed into a beacon of investigative journalism, its headlines screaming of corruption and demanding accountability. Eleanor Vance, initially a victim of injustice, became a symbol of resilience, a quiet force that had ignited a revolution. Her unassuming home became a gathering place for those seeking justice, a sanctuary where stories of discrimination were shared and strategies for change were forged. She became a mentor, a confidant, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the power of truth and the unwavering pursuit of justice could prevail. Eleanor Vance, the director of the FBI, remained in Willow Creek, her presence a constant reminder that the federal government would not tolerate injustice. She worked tirelessly with the newly formed citizen committees, providing resources and expertise, ensuring that the momentum for change was sustained. She became a bridge between the townspeople and the federal government, a symbol of hope and unwavering commitment to justice. The transformation of Willow Creek was profound. The town, once defined by its quiet complacency, became a model for community-driven reform. The First National Bank of Willow Creek, under new management, implemented sweeping changes, establishing diversity training programs and community outreach initiatives. The local law enforcement underwent a complete overhaul, its ranks purged of corrupt officers and replaced with individuals committed to serving all members of the community. The town square, once a symbol of social segregation, became a vibrant hub of community activity, hosting cultural festivals and diversity workshops. The Willow Creek Gazette, its reputation restored, became a platform for marginalized voices, its pages filled with stories of resilience and hope. But the fight for justice was not without its challenges. The old guard, those whose power had been built on a foundation of prejudice and corruption, did not relinquish their control without a fight. They spread rumors, they attempted to discredit the citizen committees, they even resorted to threats of violence. One night, a fire erupted at the community center, a building that had become a symbol of the town's newfound unity. The fire, clearly an act of arson, was a chilling reminder that the forces of darkness were still lurking in the shadows, determined to extinguish the flame of change. Eleanor Vance, however, refused to be intimidated. She stood before the townspeople, her voice steady and unwavering, her eyes filled with a quiet determination. "They want to silence us," she said, her voice echoing through the town square. "They want to extinguish the light of justice, but we will not be silenced. We will not be intimidated. We will not let them win." Eleanor Vance, standing beside her mother, nodded in agreement. "We will find those responsible for this act of terror," she said, her voice ringing with the authority of the FBI director. "And we will bring them to justice." The townspeople, inspired by Eleanor's courage and Amelia's unwavering resolve, rallied together. They formed neighborhood watch groups. They organized fundraising events to rebuild the community center. They vowed to protect their newfound unity. The investigation into the arson revealed a conspiracy that reached into the highest levels of Willow Creek's power structure, implicating the former mayor and several members of the town council. The arrests that followed sent shockwaves through the community, a stark reminder that no one, regardless of their position or power, was above the law. The rebuilding of the community center became a symbol of Willow Creek's resilience, a testament to the enduring power of unity and the unwavering pursuit of justice. The town, once defined by its quiet complacency, had become a beacon of hope, a model for communities across the nation. Eleanor Vance, the quiet, unassuming matriarch, had become a legend, her story a testament to the power of one woman to ignite a revolution. Her daughter, Eleanor Vance, the director of the FBI, had not only avenged her mother's humiliation, but had also transformed a town, proving that justice, though sometimes delayed, would always prevail, and the people of Willow Creek, once divided by prejudice and fear, had found their voices, their unity, and their unwavering commitment to a future where justice was not a privilege, but a right for all. Years passed, and Willow Creek became a testament to enduring change. The rebuilt community center, now a vibrant hub of activity, hosted cultural celebrations, educational workshops, and community forums, fostering a sense of belonging for all residents. The First National Bank of Willow Creek, under its new leadership, established a scholarship program for underprivileged youth and partnered with local businesses to support community development initiatives. The town square, once a symbol of division, transformed into a space of unity. The annual Unity Festival, a celebration of Willow Creek's diverse cultural heritage, drew visitors from across the state, showcasing the town's remarkable transformation. The Willow Creek Gazette, its investigative reporting now nationally recognized, became a training ground for aspiring journalists, its pages filled with stories of social justice and community empowerment. Eleanor Vance, though aging, remained a pillar of strength, her wisdom and compassion guiding the town's continued progress. Her home, once a sanctuary for those seeking justice, became a museum, a testament to the power of ordinary people to effect extraordinary change. The Eleanor Vance Center for Social Justice was established in her honor, providing resources and support for community-driven initiatives across the region. Amelia Vance, her tenure as FBI director marked by unwavering commitment to justice and integrity, continued to champion civil rights and community empowerment on a national scale. Her work in Willow Creek served as a model for federal intervention in cases of systemic injustice, inspiring similar initiatives across the country. The story of Willow Creek became a case study in social transformation, a testament to the power of community-driven reform. Universities and social justice organizations from around the world sent delegations to Willow Creek, seeking to understand the town's remarkable journey. One day, a young journalist from a national news network visited Willow Creek to interview Eleanor Vance. The journalist, intrigued by the legend of the unassuming matriarch who had ignited a revolution, asked Eleanor about the secret to her strength. Eleanor, her eyes filled with a quiet wisdom, smiled. "There is no secret," she said, her voice steady and unwavering. "It is simply a matter of recognizing the inherent dignity of every human being, and refusing to allow anyone to diminish that dignity." The journalist, moved by Eleanor's words, asked about the role of her daughter, the director of the FBI. "Amelia," Eleanor said, her voice filled with pride. She simply reminded them that no one is above the law, that justice is not a privilege but a right, and that the power of truth will always prevail. The journalist, inspired by the story of Willow Creek, wrote a series of articles that captured the town's remarkable transformation. The articles, published in national newspapers and magazines, spread the message of hope and empowerment, inspiring communities across the nation to challenge injustice and embrace change. The legacy of Willow Creek, the legacy of Eleanor and Amelia Vance lived on, testament to the enduring power of ordinary people to create extraordinary change. It was a story of resilience, of unity, and of the unwavering pursuit of justice, a story that would be told for generations to come, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit, when ignited by truth and compassion, could transform the world.